Today's Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. I'm making this video because I want to share awareness of a potential fatal flaw with the Dunkirk boiler that they've been selling and having installed in people's homes. Again, this is our Dunkirk boilers. So you can see the model number here is the DXL-235K. This problem is not limited to this specific model. So anybody that has a Dunkirk boiler that was created in the past 3 years should be very, very concerned of both the fire hazard and flooding and freezing hazards. So now I'm going to elaborate about some of the issues we've had with this boiler. I'm going to get into some details. Later on in the video, I'll show you some footage of when the boiler almost blew up on me and caught on fire. I'll show you some of the damage when the pipe burst in one of the bedrooms. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to show. I'll make it as brief as possible, but I don't want to leave anything out because all of what's happened to me could happen to you. All right, so first and foremost, when we had this installed was about 13 months ago. Dunkirk only carries a 12-month warranty. A lot of these issues started almost from day one though. But regardless, Dunkirk doesn't want to stand behind it anymore because it's 13 months later. Within the first month of installation, we had a little bit of a water leak dripping on top of the boiler. That really wasn't Dunkirk's problem. That was Roy's Plumbing who did the install, but it was nothing detrimental. They came and they fixed it, and we thought all was good. Several months later, the boiler was cycling off and on, off and on, off and on. And we had the repair company out again, and they investigated and found that there was some insulation on the igniter for the pilot. And the sensor was thinking that it was running when it wasn't, and vice versa, so it was cycling off and on, off and on. Apparently Dunkirk had a recall, and they were fixing that. So that was fixed free of charge. We were happy. What I didn't know was while it was cycling off and on, it was actually opening and closing the vent. Every time it cycled on, it opened it so that the gases could vent out, and every time it turned off, it closed it. So I'll get to a little bit more detail about that and how it affected my house later. But I just want to make you aware that that cycling, that's what happens when it cycles. So about 3 weeks ago, we had a flood. I pulled up in front of the garage and I saw water pouring out of the garage wall and out of the garage door and from the ceiling above it, on the outside of the house though, which made me very concerned because houses don't normally do that. And we don't have any water faucets or any plumbing that's right there other than the baseboard heat. Come to find out, a pipe had burst. And why would a pipe burst when you have a house that has a brand new boiler that's heating the house? Well, that takes me back to that damper that was opening and closing all the time. What I found out today was because of that damper opening and closing, it wouldn't turn on all the time. So at times the boiler wouldn't turn on because the damper would not open to turn on the boiler. So that led to freezing in that room, which led to the pipe bursting and the floods and the ruined floor and carpeting and ceiling and at least $10,000, if not more, of damage. If burst pipes and flooded houses isn't enough, how about fire hazards and explosive hazards? Yes, this particular Dunkirk boiler did potentially both of those things. When I came in the other day, I noticed that the house was cold. I'm like, why is the house cold? We just had the service tech here. Everything should be fine. I went and I felt all of the pipes on the boiler, and they were all ice cold. So the boiler wasn't kicking on. I pulled off the front cover, and I noticed charred wires. I'm like, that's weird. Maybe it was touching something hot. Maybe it still works. I turned the power off on the boiler and back on, and I opened up the pilot light window to see what was going on. And within about 5-10 seconds, explosive flames come pouring out of that little peephole and catch the wiring loom on fire, in which case I had to jump up, turn off the gas, and then I blew out the fire. So I was able to get it out. Fortunately, it didn't carry on far enough where it was uncontrollable. But definitely a situation where people could die. It obviously had been burning previous to that. The more gas that leaks out, the bigger the explosive possibilities. As you can see, the pilot is lit. Okay, this is the part where you get to see the explosion. You can see the pilot lights lit. You can see the blue flame in the peephole there. You can see that golden copper tire colored wire. That is the sensor that identifies that the pilot's lit, and you can see it's charred and burned. And when I bring the camera back down, you'll see the explosion. Here I'm sharing with you a still image of the burnt part of the boiler. The charred wire there, that's the wire loom that has all of the control wires for the boiler, and the silver gray tube underneath that loom is the pilot feed tube. It feeds gas to the pilot, and as the image scrolls up a little bit, you'll see an arrow in a circle. That's where the coupler and the pilot gas tube snapped for whatever reason and leaked gas inside the internals of the boiler, causing the slight explosion that I showed in the video. Alright, there's a distance view so you can see the whole section that burned. Now we're showing the floor of the bedroom that got destroyed. And here's the hardwood that was underneath the brand new carpeting. That's all ruined. That was perfect hardwood floor. Here's the damp plywood after everything was pulled out. And we're going to show some more carpeting here, the brand new carpeting that got ruined. And now let's look at the garage ceiling. All the plywood, or the drywall and the insulation needed to come off. So this was meant to be a public service announcement. I really wanted to share the information of what happened, make sure that the public, whoever can get access to this video, understands that there's a safety hazard with this boiler. Know that the manufacturer really doesn't stand behind it, especially after 12 months. Their 12-month warranty is because it's a subpar product, and certainly they don't want to deal with repairs. The death hazard, the fire hazard, the freezing hazard, those are all things that could be prevented if they would only recall and replace the pilot ignition system, which is subpar. But they're not doing that because they've been selling these for 3 years, which means every boiler that's been installed in the past 3 years, at least consumer grade, is likely to have this problem. Again, Roy's Plumbing in Western New York has dealt with this now 5 times, including my house. So it's happening in Western New York, and believe me, it's not limited. We don't have a specific ignition system only for Western New York. This is around the country, if not international. So I would be a little concerned. I'd be very concerned if I had one of these Dunkirk boilers in my house, as I am concerned right now. And I just hope that everybody can get theirs repaired before their warranty's up, before your 12 months is up, because Dunkirk will hang you out to dry. They'll let your house burn down. They'll let your water pipes burst. They don't care. It's all about the money.